heart warm welcome to you, Kisima family. Once again, this is radio, or rather KisimaRadio. You know, sometimes you just want to be creative, and your creativity, Mfundisi, it doesn't really help, eh? So today I just wanted to surprise our family, KisimaRadio family, and just greet them in a very special, warm way. And we are enjoying a beautiful weather in Cape Town. Yeah, let us welcome everyone, wherever you are. We love you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate our relationship and walking the journey with you as God is restoring mankind back to his original intent. Today, we are continuing with our conversations on kingdom leadership, and we've got one of my favorite leaders, Mfundisi Usakiwo Khala. So we'll be enjoying the next 30 minutes of this podcast with him. Mfundisi, please greet our listeners and welcome to KisimaRadio.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the warm welcome. I'm not sure whether to say I'm flattered or...
No, I really appreciate your leadership, trust me. You know that.
You know that. Thank you. And warm greetings to your listeners. I'm really honored and privileged to be sharing my 2 cents worth in this platform.
Beautiful. Yeah. Mfundisi, we always hear, people talking leadership at different levels, in different contexts, and the cry for a lack of leadership in Africa. Be it in the government, in business, in church circles, we always hear that we don't have leadership, hence the nation is in chaos. So today I would like us to just talk, or rather have this conversation around leadership, which has been really exhausted to a certain extent, the term leadership. But I'm interested to hear from you. You said your 2 cents worth. What do you have to share with us in terms of leadership? Perhaps let's first hear your understanding or your definition of leadership.
Yeah, well, thank you once again, Osipo. Well, maybe just to latch on something that you said about, the talk, that is rampant on leadership. Truly, people may be tired of this word now. It sounds so cliche.
Sure.
But in my estimate, we can never overrate leadership. We can never, talk too much of leadership. There is a need, there is a necessity for leadership.
Okay.
If anything, we should talk more on the subject of leadership. We need to talk more to inspire and to encourage people. So leadership is so much necessary. The conversations are so much needed. We need leaders in every sphere of influence.
Sure.
And anyone and everyone should, at a certain point, see themselves as leaders. So you asked me to define leadership.
Because I'm listening to you now, sorry for this. Yes. You say we need leaders in every sphere of influence. And I'm like, there are so many people who call themselves leaders. Yes. Yet we still see this chaos in our country. Okay, maybe not a chaos, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I mean the disorder. And I'm asking myself, who is the leader? What does it mean to be a leader? But anyway.
So maybe I will speak on that as I define, leadership. I have a very short 3-word definition of leadership. For me, leadership is serving. That's my definition, and this definition is inspired by the scriptures, really, when, in my own estimate, the greatest leader that ever lived defined leadership. He used this term. He said, if you want to be the greatest of them all, you must be the servant of them all.
Yeah.
So he defined leadership as serving. So yes, leadership is about influencing, inspiring, improving people, but you do that through serving them, not lording it over them, not coming as a boss and bossing people around.
Sure.
But you come as one that serve others. So the big question is, therefore, can you influence people? Can you inspire people? Can you contribute to the life of people can you do that in a way that is serving the very people that you are inspiring, whose lives you are improving and influencing? Then you are a leader. You will notice that in my definition, there is no position, there is no title, but there's function.
Okay. So leadership is more about, as you are influencing and inspiring and encouraging, you do that. You actually do that. It's practical.
It's practical. If you do that, you are a leader.
Okay.
Because leadership is about taking people to a place they have never been.
Perhaps.
Yes, you can go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking, perhaps people are convinced that those who call themselves leaders, they are convinced that, but we are leading them. And I'm asking myself, perhaps they are leading people to a direction that they feel is right.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's another direction, abantu, that are supposed to be led towards I don't know.
Yeah, look, you see, when we have a dilemma. We live in a time, for example, because you're talking about right. People feel that they are taking others to a right place. There's a challenge in our time where, for example, we fight for rights, yet we don't know what is right.
Oh, wow.
We claim to be taking people to the right place, but we can't answer the question whether we are the right people to lead those people. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So the whole question of right, and all those things is a big question on its own. Because sometimes the wrong people fight for the rights of the people. And now we see those people as leaders. They were ahead, because truly, leadership is about going ahead. But sometimes the wrong people go ahead. In other words, when the wrong people does the right thing, it becomes a dilemma.
Okay.
Because the motive is wrong.
Oh, yes.
Remember, we said leadership is about influencing people, inspiring people, improving the lives of people through service. Who are you serving? Not yourself.
Sure.
But others.
So in this case,
yes, ma'am.
What? Okay, can you just illustrate briefly what do you mean by a wrong person leading someone to the right direction? I don't know if I understand you correctly.
Yeah. So, for example, in our definition of leadership, we have not spoken about positions and titles.
Sure.
So my argument is that the great enemy of leadership is position and title.
Okay.
Because I can aspire to be a president. Now that's a position. And that's a title. Because I'll be called the Honorable Mr. President.
Of course.
And I will have all the benefits of being a president.
Okay.
And as a result, I will do all the functions of leadership. That is influence, inspiring, and even improving people.
Okay.
But for whose sake? Who am I serving whilst I'm doing that? I'm serving myself.
Right. Okay, because you're fulfilling your ambition of becoming.
It's fulfilling my ambition. As a result, as I do that, I'm now willing to do anything that would give me those results. Now that's where I start killing. That's where I start destroying. That's where I start now, getting rid of every obstacle, on my way.
Sure. Because now you have to protect your ambition.
Look, when I know people, you realize that in leadership, it's not just about your vision. You see, all leaders must have vision.
Sure.
But vision without values is a recipe for disaster. Because vision is about moving from point A to point B by time C. Okay. So A is where I am at now, B is my destination, time is by when.
Okay.
So vision is like a river. It is dynamic. Vision changes, vision is not static.
Okay.
But values tell you what you can do and what you cannot do.
Sure.
Values are like river banks to say, yes, water flow, but within these limits. You know, so vision makes us great people, but values make us good people. You have great people that are bad people. You know, you spoke about leadership in Africa. I mean, I'll point further. I won't point in our country.
Yes.
But, you know, we had presidents like Idi Amin that killed their own people. We had leaders like, you know, Stalin. We had leaders like, you know, who was this guy in Germany that killed the Jews, the Nazi man, Hitler. Now, these are great people. You don't reach that level in life unless you are great. That's great.
Sure.
Ordinary people don't become president. That's great. Reach that level, you are a great person. But they were bad people at the same time. And yet you have good people that are mediocre.
Okay.
These people never steal, never kill, never say anything bad about anyone, but they never try anything.
All right.
So leadership then is a combination. We don't choose between greatness and goodness.
All right.
We're talking about right leadership. Remember, I'm still talking in the context of right and wrong. You were asking me right and wrong. So I'm saying right leaders are those that manage the tension between vision and values.
Okay.
Because vision is about accomplishing, but values are saying we don't do things this way.
All right.
This is how we do things.
All right.
If I can't get it the right way, I'd rather not get it. Those are values.
Yes.
So values limit you. They are riverbanks. But vision says go there, point A to point B.
Okay.
But values say this is how we do it. So leadership, therefore, right leadership are those that are managing that tension between vision and values.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, managing the tension between vision and values.
And I think it's very important. Remember, we define leadership as serving when it's not.
Yes.
So there are many temptations. Can you imagine if I'm serving people and I have a budget of R1 billion and I have a problem with my roof that has a leak and I'm managing R1 billion. You see, that's where corruption comes in, because now I have to exercise restraint and say, this is not my money. How can I stay in Kaelicha, in Guguletu, in Nanga, and be managing R1 billion budget?
Sure.
Now, my values would actually say to me, exercise restraint. This is not your money.
Sure.
When I live out of your salary, what you are paid as, you know, a benefit and a thank you for your function. But you were not functioning for the benefit. You were functioning for the impact. Hence, I feel that it's possible to be the wrong person doing the right thing because your motives are wrong.
I'm also interested in I'm asking myself, I'm interested to sort of this whole notion of interpreting leadership as titles and positions. What influenced it? Because I'm also looking at Tina, the Black Nation, when way back, how our forefathers, how they would serve each other. The concept yobuntu again. The tolika ngokuthi people were serving each other paya, you know, because you would value the next person. You would make sure that their needs are met. You would make sure that they are safe. You know, that respect and that appreciation of ubomi bomntu, humanity. So in your understanding, where did we miss it?
So when I say Nosibo, I would say that...
because we keep on talking, people attend seminars, people attend workshops, but we are still missing the mark. And perhaps if one could just go back further, where did we miss it and try ukulungisa where umtu can?
Yeah. So I think it's important for us to start at the right place then in attempting to answer this question.
Okay.
In attempting to answer your question on titles and position, there's nothing on its own wrong about titles and leadership. In fact, I would argue that they are important.
Okay.
Because if a person is going to lead, they need to be empowered to lead. In other words, they need to get all the resources they need to lead.
Yes.
So my argument, therefore, would be that a title and a position is important. However, I would say that a title and a position is the lowest form of leadership.
Okay.
Because now that you are in that title, what it says is that it says the people that you're supposed to lead, you are empowered to lead them because they see you as their leader.
Sure.
So that is good. But that is not enough.
Okay.
Because now, beyond that, I need to function. I'm saying that I don't want us to sound as if we are opposed to titles and leadership, but they should not be our goal.
All right. I hear
Because
you.
many people are in positions, but they don't function. And then they become failures because they have been empowered by the position to function, but they are not functioning. So you find people that are paralyzed, therefore, by title and position because they don't know their purpose.
Okay.
Because the purpose of title, the purpose of position is simply empowerment for function. Which is why I think that, therefore, it should not be a limitation. That I don't have a title should not be a limitation. That I do not have a position should not be a limitation. I can lead without a position. I can lead without a title. How do I do that? By leading people and empowering them also and helping them. Let me put it this way. How do I lead without a title? I lead without a title by supporting the leader. By rallying people around the leader. Let's make an example. In the workplace, we have a manager. I am not a manager, I'm just a team member.
Sure.
I can lead my team to accomplish the team responsibility by influencing them towards that goal, not necessarily because I have a position or a title. So my issue is that people can be paralyzed by positions and titles that they may think that they need one to lead. Right. Others might be paralyzed in that they think by having one, then they are leaders.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? So I am saying, Una, the day we begin to understand what the role is, work and do our part, and mobilize others to do it, then we have started leading.
You know, you're taking me to a question that I was going to ask, Okuti, but why is it critical then for people to understand or to have the correct understanding of what leadership is? Why is leadership critical? Why is it important to have good leadership?
Wow,
both in families, in communities, and as a nation?
That's a good question, Joseph. Good leadership is important for self.
Okay.
Because we cannot exercise leadership in any other sphere except we have mastered self-leadership. Because remember, self-leadership is the most basic and it's the foundation for all leadership.
Okay.
If I lead others having failed to lead myself, I'm a hypocrite. Because remember, even when Jesus was talking about Pharisees, he says, what they say do, but what they do don't do.
Yeah.
Because there's a gap between what they say and do. The secret to leadership is self-leadership. You know, you gain credibility when you lead others to a place that you have been yourself, or at least to a place that you are at yourself. So I would say, as we look at leadership, we'd say, for example, I'm a parent. What kind of a leader, am I to my kids?
Okay.
I can't tell my kids to behave in a way that I am not. Or tell my kids to not behave in a way that I am. Let's say I'm a smoker, but I keep on telling my kids not to smoke. That's hypocrisy.
It's an interesting one, the example. I was just going to ask him, Mfundisi, again, looking at the majority of the people in I don't even want to say in South Africa, in Africa. You look at social ills, you look at, poverty and. We're sitting here and saying self-leadership begins with me as an individual. We look recently attacks against our brothers and sisters from up Africa. And how do we then begin to talk leadership in the minds and hearts that are clouded with so much frustration and pain and anger as a nation?
Again,
going back to self-leadership. How do you speak to me for self-leadership in a state of brokenness, that I'm in?
It's a very difficult question when I say people.
Sure.
Particularly because leadership, it's not something that we assume. It's something that we do. It's not something that we just say, I am a leader. So we are in a context of brokenness. So, number one, we need examples. Because there are times that we need to look outside of ourselves, because every time we look inside, we see brokenness, we see hopelessness. So we need to look. We need inspiration.
Okay.
We need others to lead us.
Okay.
To inspire us to self-lead. To inspire us to self-lead. I think that would be the first step for us to say, who are our leaders? Because you see, the greatest curse upon a nation is when, there are no leaders. You would see teachers are not teaching anymore, leaders are not leading anymore, parents are not parenting anymore. Even preachers turn to businessmen and not preach anymore. Then you realize there's a leadership crisis. So what do we need in times like those? We need people that will cry, restore. Wow. We need people that will paint the picture again. That will inspire us to go back to introspect so that we may self-lead.
Okay.
So it's difficult in that way, because every time we look inside, we won't find hope. Because there's brokenness, there's pain, there's disgruntlement. So and in no way I'm saying this is an easy thing.
Okay.
This thing is very difficult. Leadership is very difficult.
All right.
There are many things that come our way that bring us to a place of just, throwing the towel. We can get easily overwhelmed. Because, how do you lead, for example, in a context of scarcity?
Exactly.
You have nothing yourself.
Exactly.
How do you wake up and inspire others?
Sure.
So all I'm saying is that I'm in no way saying that this is an easy thing.
Okay.
But it's a very necessary thing. It's amazing how the people that, beat the odds and the people that we look up to today are those people that said, my circumstances notwithstanding, I'm going to rise up and do something about this matter.
Sure.
And I really pray that there would be a generation of people like that say, I can see my circumstances, but, nonetheless, I will rise and do something about it. And we have examples even in our continent.
Sure.
We have examples in our country. There are people like about John Langalbalele Dube, people that did extraordinary things, people that lived ahead of their time. And the context was against, them. If you look at the context in which they thrived, it's almost like they were exceptions.
Sure.
But a printing press, this guy built a hospital, a school. These people accomplished things in a context of scarcity, in a context of brokenness.
Yeah.
So is there people that are willing to rise above the circumstances. And I'm not saying that isn't totally perfect. I'm saying circumstances notwithstanding.
Mfundisi, does the spiritual factor play a role in leadership?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let me first explain it by saying spiritual does not mean Christian.
Okay.
That a person is not a Christian does not mean they are not spiritual.
Oh, wow.
Sikhulele ezilalini kuthiwa utata ubani uyathwala as a result une-business enkulu. That is spiritual.
Okay.
You understand? So I am saying that you cannot rise as a leader if you are not spiritual. You know, leadership is more spiritual than anything else.
Wow.
I don't know how you can carry the burden of leadership with just enthusiasm and passion. I think you are a candidate for depression if you do that. I think you are a candidate for anxiety if you do that. Because one of the things that you do as a leader is inspire hope in people.
Okay.
What do you do when you come to spaces of hopelessness?
Yeah.
And you are the carrier of hope? Chances are you get overwhelmed.
Sure.
The only thing that keeps you in those circumstances is your spirituality.
Wow.
You know, remember David when he came to Ziklag and the families were taken away? His own people wanted to stone him. And the scripture says, and David encouraged himself in the Lord. How do you encourage yourself if you're not spiritual?
Yeah.
Where do you get that inspiration yourself to inspire others? Because you cannot give what you have not received.
My goodness. You know, the mandate of KisimaRadio is to facilitate the restoration of mankind back to God's original intent. And now we're talking leaders in that context. Leaders, you know, that God is actually saying, come back to me, come back to my heart, because I wanna reveal to you, I wanna teach you what leadership is all about.
Yeah, and I think it's very important when I assist those people, because you see, you're talking about restoration, and we said that the basic form of leadership is self-leadership.
Yes.
So what does that mean? That means that for me to lead in any context, I must first find myself in God. I must first be at a place where I can lead myself. You know, I mean, self-leadership, for example, very simple thing, like waking up. You know, waking up requires self-leadership, because other people say, I wake up when I run out of sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas as a leader, you should wake up at a particular time because you have a function to do.
Yes, my goodness.
Self-leadership is about, you know, reading a book. Self-leadership is about, you know, penning down those thoughts that you had. Self-leadership is about attending that course to empower yourself so that you may lead others. Self-leadership is about not eating that thing that is not good for you.
Sure.
You know, it's about reducing that measure in your plate, you know. It's about reducing, you know, you used to eat red meat 5 times in a week, you know, say, no, because I have a responsibility and a function, then I will eat less. You know what Paul says? He says, for me to die is gain, but for your sake, you know, he says, I'm caught between two things, whether to go to the Lord or to remain. If I go to the Lord, it's good for me. If I remain, it's good for you. And I think that's what leadership is. Everything is permissible, but not everything is profitable to me. That's what self-leadership is all about. So you're talking about restoring man to God's original intent. That speaks to self-leadership.
Sure.
You know? So, and as I said, when I was with people, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because do you know what we want to do?
Okay.
Instead of changing, we want to give up.
Okay.
Instead of changing, we want to be angry. For example, if I say, why don't you reduce your measure of meat intake?
Yeah.
Now people are offended instead of changing.
We're comfortable
because change is challenging.
Yeah.
Change is confrontational. Change requires and matters.
Sure.
You know? So leadership is difficult in that way.
Okay.
Now, think about it this way again, Nosipo. If leading myself is difficult, how much more leading others?
Yeah. Sure.
How much more leading? That's why then
Sure.
people choose to boss and lord it over people because they can't take this thing.
My goodness.
Because the biggest challenge about leadership is change.
It's change.
Because remember, Nosipo, leadership is about two things.
Okay.
Leadership is about managing time and managing change.
All right.
Because those are the two constants. So leadership is about managing those things. If you manage time, if you manage change, then you are a leader.
My goodness.
Be it a change of self or change of others. So it's a difficult function.
Sure.
So
Sure.
here's one thought.
Wow.
Here's one thought. As a leader, you need to be emotionally healthy. I don't have time to unpack that.
Okay.
But remember, leadership is a heart function. And if you're going to be hurt, you're going to be hurt emotionally. You know, if the enemy is going to throw arrows at you, it's going to be at your heart.
Okay.
Because you're going to be giving your life for people, and people will not show gratitude.
Sure.
So you need to be emotionally healthy as a leader. That's why David says, he restores my soul.
Okay.
You have to see. Remember, soul is about